Hey guys, this is a roughed in shower, and we're going to go ahead and put the final trim on it and finish it out so it can be inspected. We've got the handle and trim on. We've got the little copper stubbed out. We're going to have to put this faucet on it that has a stop to make the shower work. The shower's only got a plug in it so they could pressurize it when we tested it. This little outfit has got an O-ring inside, and we just have to measure how much copper we want sticking out of the wall, and then clean it up and put this on there and tighten it up with an Allen screw in the bottom. It's pretty simple. I got these trim kits from Supply House, and I believe they're brass craft. Yeah. Brass craft. It comes with the stuff to put in the shower. It comes with the shower head. It comes with a pretty neat little shower head. It's got an adjustable spray on it. You can spin this around and it raises and lowers these nozzles to make them spray. We'll see how it goes when we get it on there. Got some tools I brought with me today, brought in here. Oh, wrong box. I got my cutter that's going to cut the copper. I've got some Blue Monster Teflon tape. See it there? It's not. And that's about all you really need to use. They got these smaller rolls that you have to put a dozen wraps on it. It's Blue Monster, big full roll, and it comes, it's pretty thick. It's quite a bit thicker than the regular Teflon tape. Goes on good. And just for insurance, since we're going to be putting it in the wall there's no way to see if it's going to leak. We're going to put the Teflon tape, and then we're going to put some of this Mega Lock on it, over top of the tape, and thread it in just to make sure we get a good seal on the wall. We won't need it on the shower head. The shower head does have a rubber O-ring in it, but we may put a little bit of Teflon on it just in case. Should have everything we need here to get started. We've got everything to clean our copper with, but we'll probably just use sandpaper. Got a little piece of emery cloth here. Let's get set up here and we'll get started. First thing we want to do is tighten this handle up. It's just barely on there. Off at all. Feels like the Allen screw is stripped in there. Going anywhere. That's a bummer. Well, that's definitely a fail. I've tried every Allen wrench I got and it won't budge. It seems to be knocked a little bit crooked. I had all this in before we put the sheetrock up, so I don't know if I dropped some blocking on it or the sheetrock hit it, but it's bent down. I think the Allen screw's bent. So that's something that's going to have to be drilled out at a later date. It works. It won't fall off, so I guess it'll do for now until I need to change the cartridge out. This, I'm going to have to cut some of this off. That's way too long. I need to have about 2 inches sticking out so we can put this fitting on it. Let's go 2 1/4. Yeah, I'll almost go to the very bottom of it. I'm going to use this Milwaukee M12 tubing cutter. This is a 2470-120. I've done a little video on this. These are pretty awesome. If you don't do plumbing every day, though, you probably don't need it. But it's pretty handy to have. They're not really expensive. They use the M12 batteries. Oops. Well, I'll get it to go the right direction. Finally got it to work. I don't use this every day. It's right on the line. I don't use it every day, but it's handy when I do. This up especially right here. Oh, that was nice. Cut the end of my finger off. That's what happens when you play with sharp objects. We should probably use the tool that's designed for it. Anytime you work with plumbing and you have an O-ring, this has an O-ring inside of it, you need to use some type of plumber's grease, something that not water soluble that'll stay with it. It helps the O-ring go on, and it also extends the life of the O-ring. Helps it stay in there longer, keeps it from deteriorating. This is silicone, I believe. The Allen screws all the way down. Got that on there. It's tight against the wall, but it's got a little gap there. Put a little clear silicone around that before we start using it. Now to move on to the shower head. Now we'll take this test spigot out. Shower curve, shower nozzle part. This finished plate right here, and then it's got a little Phillips screw head in it where you can push it against the wall and lock it. Actually, we don't have to put that on because I thought it was the press fit. Some Blue Monster on. Tail away from the direction you're going to turn it. Press it in good. Put a little bit of this Mega Lock on it. Just cheap insurance. Doesn't hurt a thing. We got the Blue Monster Teflon and the Mega Lock. Get it threaded into our fitting. Get a screwdriver. That's not going to work in there. This might. Okay. Some little Blue Monster. water back on. That's not very pretty. Neither is that. Not good. Gets it wherever you want it, I guess. Worked out pretty good. Got the shower head and the trim in. We got that's the trim kit that came with the shower valve, and I believe it's a mowing, but it looks like it's a different color than the rest of my stuff. It's more like a brushed nickel. Matches okay for this spare bathroom, I guess. Once the curtain's up, it'll never show, but I still don't like it. We've got to do a little more trim painting around the shower here. A little bit of cleanup next to the floor where the tile meets the tub. And put some floor trim down. And this bathroom will be a wrap. You saw me use a couple different tools in this video. One of them was this tool for cleaning up copper. And there's a little tip inside there, I don't know if you can see it, that gets rid of that burr that rotary cutter leaves. And you saw me cut the tip of my thumb off with that a while ago. That's it's just like a razor blade in there. I was trying to run that sandpaper in there and be lazy instead of going and getting the tip and then the little reamer. I've got a little hand reamer in the plumbing kit that would go in and it would cut every bit of this off. You can do it with a pocket knife too. But it's very sharp. You also saw me use my Klein screwdriver. It's a multi-tip. It has all kinds of different tips for it, Phillips and standard. And it also has nut drivers, different size nut drivers. Very handy. That's probably one of the most useful tools I carry. And another thing I was using was my Stanley tape. Now everybody has different opinions about tapes. My dad always carried a Stanley. I haven't seen the old-fashioned Stanley. This is a newer version of it, and I really like it. It's pretty rugged. I don't think it's metal. It's some kind of plastic. The old ones had like a metal case, and this one also has your markings on it for 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch. And I like this kind of tape. Everybody says you're not a carpenter unless you know your eighths and 16ths, but I do know them, but this is just a lot handier. I like that. This is probably my favorite tape. It doesn't have the big, it's got a pretty big tip on it, but it doesn't have the big bulky tip that a lot of them does. I thought these chrome cobalts were going to be something. I've got a couple of these, and I tell you what, the Cobalt brand has really let people down. I don't even think they're going to make Cobalt much longer. They're going to get rid of it and start making Craftsman stuff. This one has a nylon coated tape, which should be awesome, but it gets dirty. It's not very reflective, and you don't really need reflective. You can see this really clearly with the camera, but it gets really dirty. There's something inside that just rubs on it, gets like a black. Look at my fingers. You can see what gets. I don't know what it is about this tape. It just gets nasty, and I'm disappointed with it. I don't like the way it works, and it doesn't carry very good. It falls off. It's got a bigger clip than the Stanley, but it doesn't like to stay on. I bought this Chameleon. Heard a lot of good things about them. They're pretty rugged, and they got a glare resistant tape that you can see really good. They're similar to the Milwaukee tapes, I believe. I think they're a whole lot like them. And this tape locks. We got a good lock on it. Stanley does too. He's got a good lock. It's probably used the same lock for the last 40 years. I only carry 25. Some people carry 30s. This is a little cheap one that showed up around here from somewhere. It's a Task Force. I think it used to be Lowe's House brand. They're just really cheap. They're not made very good. It does have the little 1/8 inch and 16th inch markings on them though. They're handy if you just need something to pick up and measure with, but if you measure with this tape and then you go out and you got this laying on your saw and you cut with this one, don't expect the two to be the same. The measurements are going to be different. I don't know why that is. They all should be standardized. I had another tape, I think it's one of these cobalts, that you put it out and you lock it, and as soon as you set it down, has a release button on the bottom of it. It's not this one. As soon as you set it down, it winds itself back in. And it's supposed to be like a finger lock, but when you set it down on something, it winds itself back up. I don't like that. Anybody needs just a tape to carry and do basic carpentry work, this is all you need. All you need is a Stanley. And this is a fractional tape. You don't have to get a fractional. But you don't need one with metric on it either. A lot of tapes have metric and standard or American or whatever you want to call it, but because we're about the only ones that uses standard measurements. But there's no point in using a metric tape. This gets you everything you need to know. Metric tapes are simpler. Another thing that we used, since I spent an hour talking about tapes, we used some of this 12-volt stuff, and you've seen me use this tubing cutter before. But it uses these little 12-volt batteries, and I never thought I would be a fan. I'm going to get some more 12-volt stuff, because this little thing here for putting electrical outlets and things like that in, this is a screwdriver. It's not an impact. And this thing stays charged forever. I don't know what it is about these little red lithium XC batteries. These are the bigger batteries, and these came free with my PEX tubing expander, so it come with these two bigger batteries, which is a bonus. I've never used the smaller batteries, but in this little drill, the small battery would be great because it would just fall right down in your pouch. You wouldn't have to worry about it. And I like this little guy here. Let me see what the number is. It's a 240120. 240120. And it sets up just like a drill. You can put it on drill, and you put it lighter. When you're doing the little screws for the outlets, this thing is just perfect. I can't say enough good things about this though. I thought I would never pick this up and use it. I just got it because it was cheap and I already had the batteries. I bought it as a bar tool, and I go to this all the time. I pick it up all the time. Very handy to have around. And they also make the M12 ratchet that uses these same batteries. I'm going to pick one of those up too to use in the garage because I'm all the time using the air ratchet. I think it's handy. And from everybody I've talked to, most of the mechanics, the Milwaukee ratchets are just as good or better than the snap-ons, and you don't have to wait on a bakery truck to show up and switch your stuff out. You've always got the stuff right at hand. You don't have to go through a tool truck. I shouldn't put those guys down. They got a job to do too, but I think Milwaukee's moving into the mechanics territory and taking over. And the big bulky trucks probably aren't going to be long left in this world, I'm afraid. Amazon and Milwaukee Tools is going to do them in. But that's all I've got to say. Just thought I'd talk about some of the tools that I used today and share with you guys. Taking on a little journey of putting a few chrome pieces on. The tedious stuff that nobody likes to do, but it's got to be done. I don't like much having this house finished out, and we'll be moving in shortly. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay clean.